Good morning everybody. This is Maggie Rose Cunningham bringing you Middle Earth readings. We are covering today the 7th of November right through to the 20th of November because I am away next week. I am going to be an assessor for other trainers through the organisation that I trained as a trainer with, which is going to be wonderful. I'm very much looking forward to supporting and holding a bevy of fabulous women in becoming exceptional trainers. So I won't be here with you, so we're covering 2 weeks today. So for those of you who are bringing your rune of the week, you will want to decide whether you want to say, yes, I'm going to stick with my rune of the week, and then next week I'll draw one and I can interpret myself, or you can share it in the hearth space and ask what other people think about it, or you can choose a rune and have it for the 2 weeks period. And I can see we've got Maggie, we've got Suzanne, we've got Diane. Good morning everybody, and you are sharing your runes, so wonderful. So we're going to go through the planetary movements for the next 2 weeks, and then I will look at how your rune works within that energetic field. So you can think about it as your rune is saying what's available for me right now. What are the runes whispering to you right now? And then how does that operate with the broader field of the flow of weird as interpreted through the movements of the planets. It's lovely to see so many people. Good morning to you all. So I just wanted to say as well that today I am going to talk a little bit more about things that are available to you if you want to deepen your rune practice, if you want to get more into your Northern tradition work, if you're thinking, yeah, I really want to make the next, the winter season one that feels spiritual and soulful and energized, and also a little bit about what might be available for you through 2023. Lots of stuff is birthing, so I will be talking a little bit about that. Now, our themes that have come through from the planetary movements this 2 weeks are very much around nostalgia and desire. And you might think about this as being two ends of the spectrum. If you think about the Nornir, the fates, we have that which is with Vathandi, that which was, which is Urd, and that which must be with Skuld. And so nostalgia, we can think about it as being the way in which we look back on the past, and particularly those bits of the past that we miss. And sometimes I find, particularly through the winter season, I was brought up as a Christian, and as a child I loved Christmas. And I used to sit there on Christmas Eve with my little tea light, looking out the window and thinking, oh, the baby Jesus is being born right now. It's very exciting. I clearly had an understanding of mythic time even at that point. To me now, I'm a very eclectic practitioner. Will still say hello to Jesus. I might think about it more as being the child of light now, the idea of the light rebirthing at that time. It's still a very special time for me, and I always get that tingle. And it's like as the winter sets in, I get that tingle, and I think about it now as being the Northiz tingle, and Northiz is going to come up in our rune readings. It's a very strong rune for us. So this is we've got the nostalgia of that which was, and I want to create that same feeling for my own children, and what are we going to cook, and if we're going to be all wrapped up in our winter scarves. And I have had 2 fires in my hearth over this weekend because we really needed it. So we have that place of nostalgia, and then we have desire. And Northiz is associated with the Norn Skuld, that which must be, and it's drawing us forward. It's the lighting of the need fire. So it's that role of desire, and what these two things can bring to us, and how nostalgia, your thoughts about what did I love in the past, what inspired me, what brought me joy and happiness and jubilation that I would like more of in the future. So it's that point of saying, oh yes, I can see those patterns. If you think about the tapestry of being, and you're able to look back out over it, at these hinge points in the year, and you can see the threads of light, of the flickering candlelight and the flames and the hearth. And perhaps it's because wintertime just gives us a little bit more time to pause and reflect than we have during the summer months, and we can see the stars at night. We can't see them in the daytime. We need that darkness in order to see the light. And so we're able to look and see those threads that we want to weave into the next iteration of our own tapestry. So that's what's really coming through. So on the 8th of November, so tomorrow, we have a delicious full moon in Lagus. Now this is one of my favourite full moons, the energy of water, of Lagus, combining with the moon. One of the ways that our ancestors used to view the moon is they used to see it as being the well of Wyrd itself. There's lots of different stories about the moon, so this is one of them, that it's the well of Wyrd itself, containing the waters of Wyrd within it. Another one is that Mani, the charioteer of the moon, is accompanied by two children called Bil and Huiki, from whom Jack and Jill come, and that they are responsible for, they have these vessels with water in, and they pour the water backwards and forwards, and they are responsible for the waxing and the waning of the moon. So we have this water filling the moon. So it's a beautiful time for reflection, receiving insight, great for any psychic work that you want to do. If you didn't do any ancestral ceremonies at Samhain, there's still an opportunity with the full moon there. And to be honest, within the northern tradition, that continues all the way through the winter months. And I'm going to be doing, as some of you will already know if you receive the newsletter, I'm going to be doing 3 ceremonies through December. They are, and they're in the evenings, so that you can attend. And the first one that we're doing is around the halves of the AC Nior. So through the winter nights and moving into the later winter nights, we have what's called the Nights of the Mothers. So the AC Nior are Frigg's handmaidens. So we're going to be working with them and that power of the divine feminine through our first ceremony. We're then going to be working with soul wounding and what it means to walk wounded or to walk whole, bringing in a lot of what we've been doing in the inner circle space around the working with the wounded gods through this year. And then we're going to be completing our set of ceremonies with looking at edge dwelling and exile, which is the theme that has come forward for 2023. So you can purchase your ticket to come to those 3 ceremonies on the Mag in Rose website. I'll pop it into actually, I'm going to do them as events so that you can see them in events here in the Facebook group as well. You buy a ticket and then you can attend all 3. So it's just one ticket. It's not complicated. It's just all 3, and there will be recordings available if you can't attend one. That's really nice for this full moon energy that is coming through. I'm really feeling that working in just a very being sensitive to the moment, feeling into the moment, taking your time. And this comes through with Lagus, and it comes through with Northes that comes up twice in our planetary movements. It is deep connection through the body, deep connection through the mind, deep connection through story, through voice, through togetherness as well. All of this is possible for us. And the full moon in Lagus is inviting us into that. Then on the 10th, we have Frigg's chariot. So this is the equivalent of Venus, is moving into Northes. So I said that Northes is going to start, becoming more and more powerful for us through this period. So Frigg's chariot is the first, is going to move into Northes. And she says to us, what do you secretly desire? What are those secret desires? And do you have the courage to reach for them? What's holding you back? Are there beliefs that are stopping you? Or no, that's not possible for me, or that seems frivolous in some way, or that seems too big in some way. And if any of those questions are popping up for you, then this is the time when I do get a lot of bookings, normally through November and December, with people who want to have a one-to-one session with me to unpack some of these things and to say, I'm feeling I need a bit of a course correction, or I do feel a calling, but I don't know how to achieve it. Some of my one-to-one sessions are a mix of spiritual mentoring and coaching, bringing all of that side of my work in as well. And we work with the runes, and we often do meditations or release processes to help you to step more fully into that flame that is burning inside, that is saying, this is feeling uncomfortable, and the reason it's feeling uncomfortable is because you want to be over there, because your soul has lit a flame and it is calling to you. So Frigg's chariot in Northers says, what is that secret to desire? She invites you to move into that, to feel into that, and to find the courage to reach for it. And these are great, I know that for some people the calendar year isn't as important to you, but I tend to run the runic astrology, works well that way, and I've got a lot of things opening up for 2023. So there's a lot, New Year for me stretches from Samhain all the way through to probably Imbolc, if I'm honest. It's a slow rebirthing. It doesn't just happen in one moment. So Northers is leading the way. And this will happen more so on the 15th, when Suna's chariot, the sun, then moves into Northers as well. So Frigg's chariot, well, the planets in general, they channel the rune's energy. It's like a lens. So Frigg's chariot is asking about hearth and desire and intimate connection and sort of stewardship of your space. Whereas Suna's chariot channels probably the purest iteration of the rune. So, Northers. It does what it says on the tin. So we get that real body sensing wisdom. That's the way I think about the Northers rune. It is when your body, and you can think about this as being your subconscious mind as well, that interface between emotions come through to. Northers broadcasts on as many channels as it possibly can to tell us either yes, yes, this is brilliant, I love it, or no, you are going the wrong way. So we can light the flame to say, I need help and support to move out of whatever the challenge I'm experiencing. And it can also come through as uncomfortableness, perhaps if we haven't recognized that we are following somebody else's flame. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a moment. Well, the other thing I wanted to say is, you may not know this because I haven't done a huge amount with it, which is very foolish of me. I don't know why. I'm going to try and sort this out. Is that there are, for those of you who have not done awakening, and you're either thinking, I wonder what awakening is like, or you're interested in runic astrology, and you're thinking, I'd be interested in that as well. I offer the awakening module for a single rune via the Sun Rune Awakening packages, so that you can go and you can just purchase a single runes awakening package. And they're called the Sun Rune packages because I do a PDF that talks about what it means to have that rune as your sun rune. And then you get the awakening module as well. So if you're a Northers baby, you can purchase just that one rune, and it will give you an idea of what it might be like to do awakening. But more importantly, at this point, it will give you song and story and meditation to really deepen into your sun rune. So apologies that I've not been very good at bringing those out. I'm going to do a little bit better on that moving forward in the future, that those are available to you. And then on the 19th, we have Tyr's chariot. Tyr's chariot is moving into Athala. So here we have Athala. And Tyr's chariot, this is Mars, but remember that Tyr, the god Tyr, yes, he is a warrior god, very much about action, but he's not martial in the way that the Roman god Mars, or even or Ares as well might be. He combines within him this control force. So the way that I see this is that with you have Mars and Minerva, or Athena and Ares. Apologies, I was really struggling there to get those out. Who Athena comes along and she's like a controlling force for Ares. She supports him. I say supports him. She doesn't support. She acts as a controlling force that comes through. I wrote a chapter in a book about this, actually. If you're ever interested, just drop me a line if you're interested. And it's not northern, so I don't talk about it, but about the relationship between Hephaestus, the smith god, and Ares, and Aphrodite and Athena, and how all of that plays out. But there's a controlling force. She brings a balancing force to the fiery, sometimes uncontrolled, passionate Aries energy. Now, Tyr does that for himself. He's also a sovereign, so he was a king first, and he is a priest god first as well. So his force is almost like a twin force with Tyr and the Fenris wolf that come together. So they are sort of combined within the martial energy of the planet Mars, which we call Tyr's chariot. And so there is this sense of this call to action. And with Athala, what he's saying is the song is waiting for its hero. And that's you, by the way, in case you hadn't wondered, in case you were wondering about that. And he's in retrograde at the moment, so there's this revisiting and this perhaps sort of slowing down of the action. What is it that I need to do in order to follow my heroic destiny? And more, what do I need to do to discover my heroic destiny? And Athala is, the rune of legacy and estate and inheritance. And it's that sense of, how am I going to step forth and take my place amongst the ancestors to become part of that heroic journey. So the final piece that I wanted to talk about in relation to this, it just fits really nicely, is I know that there are some people who are on the live now who have been my Trailblazer cohort for Birth Rune Soul Journey, which has run all the way through this year. Birth Rune Soul Journey is the deepest, most supportive package of help that I can offer to people who go, actually, I really want to work in partnership with my birth runes, because the destiny that I am being offered by society right now, buy a car, get a house, get a job, buy stuff, buy more stuff, buy more stuff, buy more stuff, isn't the one that I want. That's not what I want. I'm looking for something different. I'm looking for a different calling, a different song, a different story that is more aligned to the world that I see. The mythic possibility, the calling of our planet, and the calling of the divine. That is why I started working with the birth runes, and why I'm here with you speaking right now, offering you the runes, is to say, they are there offering this another way, saying that isn't the only heroic destiny. I'm not going to say that the buying stuff is a destiny. There are reasons, I think, why our society has travelled the way that it has, which I explain more through the information about Birth Rune Soul Journey. But my Trailblazer cohort have done a wonderful job, and I am just in the process of opening the doors now to Birth Rune Soul Journey for people who want to take that really deep dive into their birth runes, getting your birth runes report, getting your one-to-one session where we talk about it, getting a whole raft of content, including what is runic astrology, lots of meditations for each of the planets. I talk to you about the stories, so there are meditations so that you can actually move into them. All of your content about the halves and the halls and how they work together, plus I do monthly coaching. So obviously there's a lot of people on this group here, and we're doing our live. But if you're in Birth Rune Soul Journey, you can come, and we have an hour every month where we talk about the birth runes, and I support you in exploring them and how they're going to work with your heroic destiny. So doors are now open for Birth Rune Soul Journey. If you already have your Birth Runes report and you're thinking, I already have my Birth Runes report, just get in touch. Email talk@meganrose.com and say, I already have my report, and we will make available for you a lovely discount for your program. So the reason I say that is because this idea that the song is waiting for its hero, my question is, well, how do we find that heroic destiny? And my answer to you for that is your birth runes. So let's see what runes people have to share. Maggie, you have Athala, so this is tapping in beautifully with Tyr's energy that is going to be coming later in the week. With this, there is a sense in which, have a look at, when you think about nostalgia and desire, think about that in the context of home and estate and legacy, not just things maybe from siblings or parents, but also back as far as you can go in terms of the generations, things that you're thinking, spend some time thinking about characteristics that you might have inherited, or traits, good or bad, that you might be carrying with you. Which ones do you want to nurture and bring forward and have as part of your legacy? And which ones do you want to say no? That pattern stops here. Now, I was doing some work with one of my clients on Friday about that, and we were doing a release process to say, yes, this repeating story has gone back through the generations, no more. And we were doing work to release that. Whereas there are other things that you might say, actually, yes, this is something that I do want to hand down. And also recognizing that legacy, again, this is all about breaking that convention of going, oh, well, this is the nuclear 2.4 children type of family legacy. It's not. We can offer legacy in so many different ways out into the world, with our friends, with our colleagues, with chosen family. So you might want to think about that as well. Where are the channels for my legacy is what's coming through there, Maggie. So exciting times with the Athala rune. Suzanne, you have Tewaz. So this is Tia's rune. It looks like a little arrow. There's a slight, whenever I get Tewaz and Lagus together, they can be a little bit niggly with each other. It's almost like, I remember doing some work on this in the summer, and it's almost like the sword, Tia's sword, if it gets in the water for too long, it gets all rusty and stuck in there, and it wants to move forward. And how does that fiery energy of Tewaz move through the watery energy? So that's very much about a mindful and magical combination. It's about recognizing that sometimes the rational explanation, if you put a sword in the water, it will rust, is not the only route. So you might think about the story of King Arthur and how the sword is returned to the Lady of the Lake for safe keeping until it is required. So for you, I would look at that as being, here we go, here's our Tewaz rune, as being, what are you potentially carrying that needs to be returned to the Lady of the Lake in a very symbolic, perhaps a ritual form through this full moon. Imagine, actually I'm just going to imagine that you are walking along with your armour, and you've got armour, and you've got a couple of swords, and you've got a spare visor, and you've got a shield on your back, but you've also got one on your front. It's this sense of the load being too heavy in some ways, and you needing to decide now which things am I going to put down and place within the waters and return to the Lady of the Lake, and using that Lagus energy to do that, and then using the North's energy to charge, like supercharge the intention. So again, it might not be about immediately taking action, but it's setting those clear intentions and saying, right, this is what I'm going to be doing in the coming months, in the coming year, and I'm going to channel that North's energy towards that using the Tewaz rune. I'm almost seeing it as a spindle, like a drop spindle, with the top bit there, and it's like it's spinning and it's drawing the North's energy in like thread onto it as it goes. And then there will be a point at which you say, okay, and now I'm ready to use the thread. But at the moment, it's preparation. It's that sort of preparation of the warrior, which is coming through. And then Carol has Isa, so there's that still energy here, which in some ways feels more. So I suppose I said more. I mean less complex to weave effectively into the energies of the moment with the Lagus rune, because the Lagus rune carries the ice. And I think probably for you there will be perhaps a little bit of a clashing here, and it's about making space in the day for two different types of energy and saying, okay, there don't need to be two mindful phases in my day. One is the ice being carried by the water, where I am in stillness. I'm in stillness. I don't need to fix anything. I don't need to change anything. And it's almost like an iceberg sitting in the water. and you're just allowing yourself to be cushioned in that space. You might want to have a look at my YouTube channel, or you can look at the Isa page on meganrose.com, and there's meditations on there for the Isa rune, and it is that real sense of letting go and just allowing yourself to be in stillness with the Isa rune. But the challenge with that is that the Norther's rune, the flame, then comes along, and what's the flame going to do? It's going to try and melt the ice, and the ice might not like that. The water's going to be okay with it, because the water will be like, okay, that's fine, because there'll just be more water. But the ice isn't necessarily going to like this, and this is the problem with the Isa rune, particularly if you have Isa in your birth runes, or you've got a dominance of Isa in your birth runes, is that change can be quite difficult to achieve. And I think that with the Norther's rune, the suggestion would be that it feels as if you're being pushed into change by other people, by external circumstances, and that doesn't feel good to the Isa self. So what you're going to want to do is to move out of that Isa space for a moment, and to again really connect with the Norther's energy of the time, and feel not a heat necessarily inside, but a light. Connect in with the things that you would like to feel as different, the changes that you would like to make, and then look at how is what's being offered externally, how can it align with, partner with what you're feeling on the inside, so it doesn't feel as if all that change is imposed, but rather that, okay, well actually, no, yes, I wanted to, whatever it is that you want to that you want to do. I wanted to go on an adventure, have a holiday that's further away, try something new in my job or studies, and this thing might not be exactly what I had in mind, or it might just feel as if it's imposed and I don't like that. But actually, what if it's just I wanted it and I'm calling it in? So that's what you want to play with. Not that everything in your external environment is then going to feel like, oh yes, this is perfectly aligned and I'm totally in control of it. But it's that reassurance that the Isa self needs, that some things are under control, that change isn't happening too fast. That, okay, yeah, that opportunity came up, and, a year ago I was thinking about that. So that was, I'm manifesting. I had this earlier in the year where I was invited to do something that absolutely terrified me. I was like, oh, I'm not ready. And then I went, hold on a second, Maggie, a year ago you looked and you thought to yourself, I really want to do this at some point in the future. It's just that I didn't want to do it that early. But it was a really great way of breathing into the fear and saying, okay, actually, this is something that I've manifested. And then my subconscious mind goes, okay, well, it must mean I'm ready. And then Isa lets go. So it's having a feel into that, Carol. Diane, you have Yera. Now, this is a really nice rune. Again, it's bringing us into the longer term. A lot of these runes are starting to think about how is the present moment connecting with the future, the desire, and the past, the nostalgia. And I feel as if, it's almost like the Yera rune is going backwards. Why is your Yera rune going backwards, Diane? Let's see if we can find the Yera rune. It's like sometimes we can look forward to winter. We can go, oh, the summer's been long, I'm looking forward to the rest of winter. And sometimes we look forward to summer, and because we're in winter and it's like, I'm really cold now and it's a bit dull and it's a bit boring. And we look forward to the summer. But what I'm sensing from this Yera rune is this sense of, I'm in the summer and the only thing that I can see on the horizon is summer. The wheels, it's almost like the wheels, maybe it's not going backwards, it's like not turning. Perhaps it's connecting in with the Isa rune that we just had with Carol's, that it's sort of saying it's not turning. And that could be really difficult if we're resisting the turning of the wheel and we're pushing against it, almost like here you are and you're leaning against the wheel here, maybe on there, and you're trying to push it backwards, go backwards, instead of allowing it to go forwards. And that puts a strain on the system, it puts a strain on the whole system. So what I'd like you to do is experiment with existing in the middle point here, in the present moment. and allowing the wheel to turn around you and really feeling into how that is feeling for you at the moment, where those sticking places are, and the strength of the nostalgia versus the desire. And breathing into that. It's like a water wheel, and you know, you hear when you hear the water wheel and it goes and it's going, and the water is roaring, and it's an amazing sense of being in the present moment. And you stop going, oh, the future, oh, you know, the past, and you're just in the present moment because the movement is happening around you. That's what the rune is offering you, but it's saying in order to do that you need to let go and stop leaning on the wheel. So yeah, a bit of meditation there for you, Diane. I'm really feeling we have a watermill really close to us, and that's what's coming through really strongly for me, is that sense of there is that moment while the water is moving forward before the wheel starts to turn, and you think it's never going to happen. You're like, it's never going to happen, it's never going to happen. But once you lift your weight off the stop lever and watch the water, and there may well be a moment of questioning and doubt, and this doesn't feel good and it feels uncomfortable, and then the water will carry you, and you'll be like, oh, this is the magic of the present moment right here, right now. Karen, you have Feiyu. Whoops. My runes are falling down everywhere now. The excitement of Karen with her Feiyu rune. It's interesting that I was talking to Diane about flow, and it's that sense of the Yarrow rune harnesses the energy of the past and the future to make the present more potent and powerful when we let it operate in that way. The Feiyu rune is in the present moment. It doesn't really exist anywhere else. And when we try and tie it to the past and we say, oh, I had this in the past and I'm holding on to it really, really tightly, I really want to rekindle that moment, that exact moment, that's the one, that's the one, that's the one. It doesn't happen because the Feiyu energy of the present moment then becomes like stale or corrupted, because it goes, oh, you want me to be something that is past, and I want to be in the now, and I want to allow something new to come through. So the Feiyu rune here is saying actually it is that future focus. If I can find the Feiyu rune. Whereas with Diane's, you've got the arms of the past and the future sort of working together to empower the present moment. If you imagine that the Feiyu rune almost has its back to the past, just a little bit. She's got her back to the past there a little bit. All of the energy is moving forwards. And it's sort of saying, you will never be able to make the ginger biscuits that your grandmother made for you that you adored. So stop trying and add that extra little bit of ginger or clove, or, you know, an extra like 1 minute of baking time or 1 minute less baking time to make your biscuits. Because your grandmother's biscuits have all been eaten already. But the world hasn't seen yours yet. And that's what it wants. Obviously, the ginger biscuits are a metaphor there. You know, if you want to make ginger biscuits, please do, because, you know, now I really want to make some ginger biscuits. But it can be that pressure that we place on ourselves to recreate something that is past, and then we don't do it because the perfectionist comes in and says, well, I'm not going to be able to do it as well, or we criticize ourselves because mine isn't the same as, you know, my Nanny Iris was an amazing baker, and, you know, I hardly ever make chocolate cake. I love chocolate cake. I hardly ever make it because I remember her chocolate cake so much. I'm like, I want to make it like her. And actually, I have a whole plethora of other recipes that people love that I make, and that's my thing. That's what I'm going to be remembered for. So the key to this is gratitude. It's to say thank you so much for those moments from the past. I open yourself up fully. Now imagine like the chakras all opening and you're giving that full gratitude for whatever it is that was there in the past, so that you can receive it and you can say that moment was complete, totally complete, and received. This is now my moment, is what the Feiyu rune is asking you. And it's that life force, and the life force is in the present moment. You can't grab it from the past. Erica, you have Manaz, the rune of the sovereign self. Now I'm going to share a little story with you now. I've got my mug here and I've been sipping on my tea because I didn't manage to drink it before Middle Earth readings because I made my tea and then I wasn't paying attention and I put orange juice in my tea instead of oat milk and it was disgusting. As you can imagine, really disgusting. So I made myself a new tea, very aptly in the Keep Calm and Carry On mug. And this is what the Manaz rune is saying to me, Erica. It's saying, attention in the present moment is key to the sovereign self. To not feeling guilt, fear, shame, anger from the past, to doing that release work and to then taking action in the present moment. I think it is Dr. Joanna Martin, who is the founder of One of Many, which is the organisation that I train through as a coach and trainer. And she says that our ability to manifest and to make, change and to grow fabulous and wonderful things in the world is tied so much to our ability to make decisions. Sometimes those aren't going to be good decisions, but they're still decisions. When we don't take decisions, it's very similar to Diane's water wheel. When we're not taking the decisions, we're not pushing our hand on the lever and letting the water wheel turn, then nothing will happen. When we take a decision, we then get feedback. And we might get feedback that actually, no, that wasn't the way to do this, or that there would have been a better way, which means we can do better next time. But if we didn't take any decision, we'd still be there going, is this actually the right way? I'm not sure if it is. And how am I going to find out if it's the right way or not? Now, it's not saying that there isn't time for preparation, that we don't say, okay, what do I need in order to take this decision? What information do I need? Do I have it already? Do I get it from somebody else? I take advice, I take counsel. But once you've done that, once you have a sufficient quantity of data that you can take the decision, then the only course of action is to take it. Otherwise, we get, nothing happens and we're not able to manifest. So this Manaz rune is talking about being fully present in the current moment and saying to yourself, what is the most powerful action that I can take right now? And it may be, in some cases, it's actually the most powerful action I can take right now is not to take action on these things. But if I've decided to not take action on those things, I'm not going to worry about it. Because worry is not helpful. Worry is, it's just energy going into a black hole. So that's where the power of the Manaz rune comes in. It's okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm not going to do those things, and I am not going to allow the past stuff, the fear or the worry or the is this the right decision anyway? Should I go and question it? All of that to get in the way. Wherever possible, you make the decision, even if you defer on when you're actually going to enact it. So I've already made the decision. And that really helps to release energy drains for us. So I leave that with the sovereignty of the Manaz rune for you, Erica. So Chen, you've got Feyu as well. Now we've covered Feyu. We covered Feyu with Karen. Am I feeling anything else coming through? I don't think so, Chen, actually. I think it's very, very similar. It is that sense of the opening to the gratitudes from the past, but recognizing that the energy of the present is yours. So yeah, I can't feel anything else coming through. It is the same. It is the same. Allow that Feyu energy to focus on the future and to bring that life force that's yours to bring in. Yeah, there's a theme there about, we've been talking about nostalgia, haven't we? So there is a theme around nostalgia. The side of the other things that partner with nostalgia are things like regret and shame and remorse, and all of those things also come within the past, and they come and they colour our ability to take action in the future. And the Feyu rune is saying, no. The power is now. The power is in the current moment. Good morning, Michelle. Lovely to see you. Esther, you've got Manaz for your 2 weeks. So again, they're coming quite closely together now, aren't they? So anything else coming through from what I got for Erica? They're being very clear today. Very clear. I have said my piece, says the Manaz rune. It is presence in the present moment, being fully present, taking decisions, and when you have taken a decision, don't second guess it. No? Write it down, this is what I'm going to do, this is how it's going to work, and then move on with the next decision. Keep momentum going around that. Keep momentum going and keep focused on the present moment. Michelle, you've got Hagalaz, the energy of the storm, which we're still in, we're still in that Hagalaz energy. Suna's chariot is currently in Hagalaz, so it's very apt feeling into that storm energy. There's a freedom actually that I'm feeling, Michelle, with your Hagalaz rune. Even though it's the storm, the hail seed, people can be a bit like, oh, take shelter with the Hagalaz rune. I'm feeling this really crystalline shape for you with the Hagalaz rune. So Hagalaz in its normal one, in its Elder Futhark position, looks like a capital H with a diagonal bar, the diagonal centre bar. But in some of the later Futharks, it came as a 6-pointed star. So there's Hagalaz. So it would have a line, a vertical line, and then a cross, like a Gibo rune crossing over an Isa rune. And it would be almost like the Gibo rune and the Isa rune are actually quite a nice description of it there, because it's this sense of like stillness and purity that the Isa rune brings. And the Gibo rune is like the promises and the commitments and the oaths. So it's like fate. The fullness of fate comes and it says, well, that's not going the way that I had intended. This person is not leading their fullest, most magnificent life. Let's shake it up a bit so that they pay attention and notice. And things get broken, damaged. It's I was talking about like nostalgia, that sometimes we walk with so much weight that we're carrying of inherited story that we can't break free and find that freedom. And Hagalaz goes no, and it sort of rips all that apart and it leaves it clean. What I'm feeling for you is almost that sense of having passed through the storm and feeling refreshed and new in the moment. And it's sort of saying, don't be too hasty to then move out of that. There is that, like, to stand there after the storm and drink in the moment and go, yeah, that was a bit of a rebirthing. I don't need to ask what next quite yet. That will come. Right now, I just need to know. It's about cultivating faith. Just need to know that whatever comes next is going to be more aligned, more powerful, more in keeping with that heroic path. Allow the Hagalaz rune that has done the destructive piece to become the guide that sits inside and says, I did this for a reason. And you might not know the reason, and it might not always be easy to discern the reason, but finding that faith, so that Hagalaz then passes to Northis. So Hagalaz, Suna's chariot, and Hagalaz is going to move to Northis, so it's the next in the rune row, where the need fire is then kindled and says, yes, draw this in instead. Whatever has been cleared away now, I want something different to come in as well. So there might be a bit more storm to weather, but then after the storm has passed, allow that to be with that for a while. Lisa, you have Largus, so very much in keeping with the full moon. And I can see Patricia underneath, they've also got Largus, so we've got 2 Largus. Largus, the rune of water, the rune of growth. There is a magical quality to Largus as well. These are real depths of new life coming through that we can't even envisage the potency that it lies beyond our immediate reality, whether you think about that as being your individual reality or whether it's the shared collective reality of humanity. It is that which lies beyond. If you can, take time to go and stand by the sea. I'm actually seeing this as like, when you get that sort of the white sand, or sometimes it's black sand, and the waves just sort of roaring, that strength of the sea, that roaring of the sea, reminding us that nature is so vast, is what's coming through for me. And allowing that power to flow through you. To recognize that you are part of that great tide. You are part of the unfolding of the mythic and the spiritual and the epic and the magnificent in the world. That just as the sea has its role to play, we each have our role to play. And there is something very therapeutic, I think, about looking at the sea. The sea is so powerful in its own right, and yes, it works with the moon, in partnership with the moon, to create the tides and to do all of this work. And so it's talking to us about the way in which we never shoulder the burden alone. And we are always, when we allow ourselves to be part of the great tapestry, to be part of nature, and to recognize ourselves as part of the natural force, we aren't alien beings wandering through the earth. We are earth beings walking the earth and contributing our own pieces. And Lagos is really inviting you to recognize that power, the power within you, and to claim that through the full moon, through the north this period of time, and through all of this winter time. And I'm feeling that for both of you. Again, the runes have been quite clear today, and not necessarily coming as distinct for different people. Their messages are very clear and strong for both of you. It's that I don't want to say the power of the divine feminine, because it's overly used. It's beyond that. It is the roaring power of the sea, the gravity of the moon, the way that everything works together to create life. And recognizing that you are a part of that mystery is the sense that I'm getting there. Elaine, to counter our lovely Laguz runes, we have the Kinaz rune, the rune of the torch, the rune of fire. I'm imagining this seeker. It feels like a seeker energy. There's the Laguz rune, by the way. I don't think I raised that one up. So here's the Kinaz rune here. Rune of the torch. It's also the rune of the stomach ulcer. It's like the flame that burns, like literally burns. The forge that changes and molds. And it can feel very, that real heat. It is physical transformation is what Kinaz offers, as well as transformation of the mind through information coming in and being translated into the mind. There's a real seeker quality to this. And Elaine, for you, I think that it's really saying, find that, I talked earlier about bringing in daily rituals. So it would be looking for you at, if you are a receiver, you like to receive information, story, bring stuff in. What does this mean? Think about it. Balance that with manifestation. So I was talking about ginger biscuits earlier, wasn't I? So anything where you get to use your hands, whether it's working in the garden, whether it's making biscuits, doing knitting, giving yourself a manicure, it really doesn't matter. The idea is that you are working with physical substances to transform and change. And the act of doing that balances the Kinaz energies out, so that you're not just receiving and things are coming in and the brain is working really, really hard, but it's not going out again. It's creating a circuit for the Kinaz energy to flow, where you're like, I'm receiving and then I'm manifesting, I'm receiving and then I'm manifesting. And it doesn't need to be, I read a gardening book and then I go and do gardening. This is about energetic connection that's going to, I feel as if this is like sowing a seed for the future for you, of just looking at bringing a little bit of mindfulness and a little bit of presence to that Manas presence earlier, to how you tend to operate in the world. And there's something there for you. There's some potential there for you, Elaine, if you look at that, tweaking that balance of receiving, manifesting, or transformational work. Felicity, you have Ewaz. Let's have a look at Ewaz. So Ewaz is the rune of the steed and partnership. You know, I was talking about the sea and its partnership with the moon and the way in which the tides are created through them. Ewaz represents instinctive partnership. So whereas Gibo, just earlier in the Futhark, is very much socially constructed partnership, constructed through promises, contracts. It's quite explicit, often made with rules, sharing of values, those sorts of things. Ewaz is instinctive. So here we are, it's the Ewaz rune. People often think that this is the rune, they get this confused, Ewaz and Manaz together, because Manaz has got the crossbars like this, so that's the M. This is the E. It looks a bit like a capital E when you turn it on its side. And there is a speed to it. It's about being able to rely on your intuition, to rely on your instinct. Very much a trust of self. And I think that for you, Felicity, it's about celebrating connection with, I'm feeling your pets are in there. The garden comes through as well. And almost that sense of, because I know that you do this anyway, you do a lot of sort of animal connection work, but it's looking for the wisdom that your animals and your garden and potentially other partners, birds or people even, they might not know it, they might not be coming into you and saying, oh Felicity, I suddenly felt inspired to come and speak to you on this subject and, you know, offer you something. But it feels as if it's there, as if the universe itself is saying, listen for the messages that are around you, and those are the evidence of the partnership that is in place for you. Yeah? I'm not sure if there's anything else that's coming through there. The only thing I can see as I'm looking is it's like a raven flying across the sky, and I'm reminded of Odin with sort of Hugin and Muninn. It's that level of relationship where you almost can't tell the difference between you and the other. You know, Hugin and Muninn are sort of part of Odin's soul complex as well as being separate to you. It's that level of partnership that we're looking for, and I feel as if it's actually just an affirmation of how much you are open to that type of partnership. And a celebration of that's being offered. Trish, you have Sewello for the week. Sewello is the rune of the sun. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go. Sewello. The rune of the sun wheel moving across the sky, and I'm seeing Suna in her flaming chariot with this orb of the sun, this sort of golden orb, being carried across the sky in the chariot. I'm just feeling into this a little bit. There's a chariot that you will see on my website, and for the life of me, the name of it has gone out of my head, which is ridiculous because I speak about it so much, where the golden disc of the sun was, you know, this highly polished metal disc, and they created the chariot underneath. It was an artifact that was discovered. And the disc on one side is gold, on the other side it's black. It hasn't been polished in the same way. And it was one of the things that is suggested by researchers, think that perhaps, you know, the chariot had actual wheels, and it could have been like a mystery play that was used during festivals, perhaps through the Yule festivals, for example, where the chariot would have been pulled across the stage, you know, how we wanted to call it, and then it would have turned and it would have been pulled back, and you wouldn't have been able to see it because it would have been dark as it went back. So it was this idea of the light and the dark being part of the mysteries of the sun. We know that with the Dargaz rune, it's the rune of the day, but it represents day and night within it. We know that the night, her name is Nort in the northern tradition, and her son Dag means day as well, that they are partners. So again, there's a partnership coming through in the Sewello rune, and a recognition that with Sewello, because it's the navigator, it's that sense of the flame within that tells us where to go. It's not the northeast flame if I'm being pulled towards it. It's actually inside us saying, I know the way. I you know, it's pointing. It's like you become the captain of your own ship with the Sewello rune. But it's reminding us that the things that we count as being shadow or dark, or our vulnerabilities, or the flaws that we see in ourselves, are also part of the power of the sun. And yeah, there is something there about embracing the shadow side of the self as a teacher, not just for you but for others as well. That we don't always have to just stand there in a sort of blazing light, being like shiny and magnificent. We offer teaching to people even when we're at our worst. No, sometimes we offer teaching to people because we're at our worst. Or sometimes we think that what we're offering them is the shiny bit, but what they take is the darker, more challenging piece, and that's what they needed, and that's okay. And that, I think, is a very challenging lesson for us in society today, is this idea that we can receive teaching and lessons from failure and loss and grief. And I think most people who are on a spiritual path will know that. And we might know that, and I know that, but we might not always feel it, because society invites us to share the things that make us look successful, and not the things that might be where our greatest learnings about ourselves have come from, and where our greatest and most profound wisdom has come from. So, Trish, I'm going to offer that to you. It's like when the carriage of the sun is travelling over the sky and you can't see the blazing sun, but it's still there, you know, when it's under our horizon is the way that you might look at it. What's there to be embraced then within you, and to say, you know what? This might not make other people comfortable, but it's part of me, and I'm going to accept even more fully right now that it might be what's needed. And it's not my job to try and hide that bit or erase that bit, because that might be what's needed. Might not always be the thing that everyone says, oh, that's what I want from you, but it might be the thing that's needed. It's tapping into that northeast energy again there as well. Morning, Flora. You've got Isa lying down sideways. So Isa, we have talked about a little bit. Let's see what else we have, because it's on its side. Normally for me with Isa, when it's lying on its side, it means have a break, have a rest. Again, because we're talking about feeling into the past and the future, I feel as if it's a sense of letting go, of maybe doing a little bit of cord cutting work, of anything else that hasn't been let go of, particularly for 2022. This is sort of long-term work. I'm imagining it as, you imagine like an ice block that's been cut and hewn from the ice, and it's sitting on another piece of ice. And then, but it's being held back by these threads from the past. And so it's sort of poised there, waiting, but it's not going anywhere. And if you cut the threads, it's going to shoot across the ice, and there will be freedom. And that sense of, you almost, I think it's a reassurance. It's saying by moving forward, you're not going to lose yourself. The Isa block will continue to move because it's you. You know, you will continue to move forward to somewhere else. You're not abandoning yourself by cutting cords at this time. And actually the more decisions, you know, we're talking about making decisions with the Manaz rune, the more you're able to cut those cords and to step into decisive action, the more momentum you will achieve, the faster that transformation will occur. And it's saying, don't worry that you're going to lose parts of yourself in this process. You're carrying all of yourself with you. let's do some releasing so that you can move forward into that space of desire and let go of the things that are from the past. Marie, you have got Gibo, so let's have a little look. We have got the runes of the gift. We were talking about Gibo with the Ewaz rune, with Felicities. So there is that sense of, the first thing that comes to my mind when I get this is I was thinking, I need to start writing my list of cards that I want to send to people before Yule, which is always longer than I actually think about. There's a celebration here of attachment, of voiced attachment, of oath-spoken attachment as a magical force in its own right. If you think about the way in which society operates, nothing would be here in this space that I'm talking to you in. I wouldn't be doing this with you right now. Nothing would have happened if it wasn't for a series of commitments made by multiple people saying, yes, I will do this in exchange for that, and I will do this in exchange for that. And often we focus on things on the imbalance that can cause, that someone might say, I will do this and you will do that, and what I receive is much greater than what you give. And that's not good. And Gibo does call us into that point, into that space. But what we need to do sometimes is really step into the Gibo energy that is that fairness and that space of justice, and giving, and the positive parts of the, and really celebrate that and open to them as maybe a better way of releasing, letting go of, addressing imbalance. So there is a celebration and a positive, intentional stepping into what it means to embody that Gibo energy, where I am committed to fairness, to giving and receiving, to being part of that web that is so necessary for our continued existence, and believing in it, and believing in in that web is what's coming through there. It's almost an act of reverence to that for all of its flaws and the things that where there hasn't been fairness or justice. The premise of the Gibo rune and what it represents is a beautiful, beautiful, structured exchange, often best represented with the breath of the in-breath and the out-breath. Which is a deeply magical, transformative process. What comes out is not the same as what went in. And that's what we're looking for, and that's the pure essence of the Gibo rune. So it's really embodying that and celebrating that, Marie. Lisa, yes, so spelling, pronunciation. So yes, some people say Aries rather than Aries. I just say Aries. I always have done, and it's very difficult to change what I'm doing. But I appreciate for some people you might be thinking about the zodiac sign. I was not talking about the zodiac sign. I was talking about the god. So that's the Greek god, who is the equivalent of Mars. Suzanne is loving Birth Rune Soul Journey. Yes, I'm loving journeying with you on that one, Suzanne. Maggie and Northis baby. Good. So we are, that's there for you. If you're interested, Maggie, you can pick up the Northis Sun Rune module. Diane, I missed you. I don't think I did miss you. I think that I didn't do Yera for you, Diane. I'm very confused, Diane. I'll have to have a little look. I'll have a little look at the end, Diane, but I'm sure that I did Yera. Carol says, thank you. I'll work on this with Issa and Northis. Wonderful. And Diane says, no, I didn't actually miss it. Okay, good. I'm glad that I didn't actually do it. Timing on the rune and where it was actually read was perfect. I don't know how you do it. Well, it's not me. I'm just reading them as they come up in the comments box. But the magic of technology. There we go. I love the water analogy. I'm making the decision today. Wonderful. That's great. Erica, I wrote yesterday in Sunday Wisdom Message about the power of living in the now. Good synchronicity there. Sally Ann, you have Bacano. So we have new beginnings coming through with Bacano, little tender shoots coming through. There's something here about new projects, new ideas coming through, and recognizing a duality within this, which is that new shoots, when they come through, can feel very tender and very exposed, and we have that, we want to protect them, but also recognizing that Bacano holds within its own protection. So nature has her own protection. So for example, that is why she produces many shoots, because not all of them are going to survive. So she produces lots of them. So what you will want to do is to be thinking about, okay, again, bringing some intentionality to this. If I've got ideas coming through, and there are lots of them, the best way that I can ensure their success is by pruning some and doing a small number, and that isn't disrespecting or what's the word I'm looking for, betraying the ideas that have come through for you. It's nature's way. I love it with, I think it's Elizabeth Gilbert who talks about ideas coming through, and they're always there, and they're hanging about in the atmosphere, and they're looking for somebody like a little soul to tend to them, and they come and they say hello, and they sit in there, and if you tend to them, they're like, yeah, and they'll grow. If you don't tend to them, they don't die in Elizabeth Gilbert's world. They go off and find somebody else. And I like that as an idea. So Bacano has so much power. And there is something here for me about trusting that those seeds, which can be like ideas and projects, are like nature. They will find their way through. So it's about bringing that discernment. It might be better to tend one or two than to be like, oh, I'm going to try and bring everything through at the same time. Esther says, thank you. Sylvie says, hello, Sylvie. You have Thurisaz today. Oh, we have to get Thurisaz in there. There we go. Finding Thurisaz, the rune of the giant, the rune of passion. It can be aggression as well. I'm feeling interesting as I'm going through. I'm feeling this very strong, this sudden sort of doubt, this sort of wobble feeling of, oh, sometimes Thurisaz can come through that way as well. There we go. It can sometimes just feel as if it's almost like too much, and there's like this niggle feeling of less of a sort of black, powerful, aggressive, like in your face Thurisaz feeling. Sometimes we can get more of a sort of slightly insidious, grey, like a mist type quality, where you're struggling through the brambles and they're catching on your clothing as you go. And this is about harnessing the power of Thurisaz within. It's saying, okay, I'm feeling it on the outside, breathing into the power of Thurisaz on the inside, which comes from the heart, so it's deep golden energy. It's you might think of like a red rose opening up inside you. You've got your mighty Thor, the mighty hammer of Thor, and you're there and you're ready. It's about claiming your own power and saying that sometimes we move through fear, we move through anger, we move through doubt. And the only way to do that is to act. We can't think our way out of doubt or fear or anger. We can release, we can do like physical release processes. They will release it and then we can move forward. But we also need to actually take action to move forward through it. And then that slightly insidious Thurisaz energy that can be there and can feel like it's clinging to us and holding us back. You then use the inherent power of the rune to like hoist itself by its own petard, is what I want to say. All of the runes have potential positive and negative qualities. And yeah, because it's feeling more to me like doubt or worry, I would say it is about really opening up to that powerful Thurisaz energy inside, represented by Thor, represented by the rose or the blackberry or whatever it is that is being protected by the thorns. The power of life itself, deep in your mighty heart, is what it is representing. Move through it, trust yourself, and know that the power of Thurisaz in you is stronger than the power of Thurisaz that is feeling some resistance around it. I think I've got that the right way. I think you know what I mean there, Sylvie. Patty, so you've got Aiwaz, the rune of the staff, the rune of the yew tree, different type of power. So Thurisaz is that aggressive, action-focused strength and power. Aiwaz is rooted. It's a deeply rooted rune. It reminds us to remember that we stand on the shoulders of giants, that we have so much experience that we can draw on. It reminds us that this too shall pass. So whereas with Sylvie, the Thurisaz rune is counselling and moving forward, sort of, allowing the fire of Thurisaz to burn away that which is around her, the resistance that is around her. Aiwaz says, stay put in the moment and the storm will pass. It will pass through you and around you. You are stronger than it. You are deeply rooted and anchored. You do not need to fight, to be aggressive, to defend your own corner in the sense of what is it? Like arguing. Someone's saying, stay in your space with what you know is right, with what you know in your heart. Trust your own wisdom and trust that the power of Aiwaz and the strength of Aiwaz, like the great yew tree, is almost like a tree around you and you are standing in it, and it will help you to weather that storm. You can think about it with the energy body as well and imagine that it's like your bark holding your power inside. Aiwaz is sometimes known as fire's keeper. So it protects our inner flame inside it and it keeps us anchored and secure in the moment. So if you want to feel that connect with that Aiwaz energy, you can do it by imagining your own roots going down into the earth beneath you, or you can do it with a staff or a stick as well, just feeling that sense of I mean, if you go into the forest, one of my children, they're at the age where they love to pick up sticks all the time, and then they're like, can you carry this one, please? And sometimes I'll get one that's the right sort of staff, and I'm sort of walking along, and I suddenly feel so much more powerful with the staff. More of us should have staffs. It's a reminder that we're not alone and that we're supported as well. So Aiwaz is offering that support to you, and I am very glad that it is your first ever rune, Patty. Michelle, thank you. Yes, still in the storm and on a slightly different course now, but working on it. Patricia says, thank you. Karen says, I've been living in the past and felt paralysed for nearly 5 years. Over the past month, I felt the wheel has started to turn and it's starting to be present. It's amazing that all of your other rune readings feel they apply too. And yes, I think that is something important for those who are new to Middle Earth readings, there is a collective energy that comes to these readings, so that when you listen to them, you go, oh, that's interesting. And this one is playing in as well. This one is important for me too. Weird is collective. It's not just an individual. This is mine. And unequal, you're just sneaking in. That's a word, isn't it? Snuck in at the last minute with Hagalaz. We've done Hagalaz with its crystalline energy. The rune visiting my path this week is Hagalaz. I'm going to draw on what we had from the Aiwaz rune here, that sometimes we can feel as if we're weathering the storm. Sometimes we can feel as if we are the storm. I'm a bit of a change maker. I'm shaking it up just a little bit. I might be making things uncomfortable for other people just a little bit. They might not be liking it. They might be getting their pokey Thurisaz energy out and poking back, or they might be digging in with their Aiwaz and saying, no. But that's okay. Again, this comes back to, I think it was Esther's reading with Suello, where we were talking about or was it Patricia? Apologies, Patricia and Esther, if I've mistaken you. I think it might have been Patricia. We were talking about the dark side of ourselves, or the so-called dark side of ourselves, being just as valuable and offering just as much out there into the world when it comes from an authentic place of pursuing our own truth and standing in integrity, and that it's okay to sometimes make other people feel a bit uncomfortable, because maybe it's just your turn to be the storm this week. I've said this last week and I'll say it again. Sometimes it's just the weather. Sometimes we are just the weather. Thank you everybody for joining me for this Middle Earth readings covering 2 weeks. So I will be back on the 21st of November. And you will still see things popping up in the Facebook group and in the newsletter about the events that I'm running in December, about Birth Through Soul Journey, and about the Hearth Space, the Inner Circle work that we're going to be doing through 2023. If you have any questions about any of those, if I've said something and you're thinking, oh, that would be interesting, or oh, I would like to book a one-to-one, but I'm not quite sure how to do it, you can just email talk@maginrose.com. Ask a question, we'll point you in the right direction. Okay, blessings to you all, and see you all very soon.